Yeah, I think it was a pretty good turn. I don't think I forgot anything. Maybe I did. I don't know. Who
Jacob
knows?
Hyatt went for me and
Yeah.
higher than me in the Calcutta. That's
Yeah.
awesome. No, I went in the pool. Never mind.
You in the pool?
I did. Yeah, actually, I did go in the
What a
pool.
loser. What a loser.
Yeah, that's how I feel right now. Thanks.
Well, who goes in the pool?
How much did the 11-year-old go for, man?
$40.
$40.
I mean, yeah, Matt Lucas bid him.
Yeah.
Don't feel bad. He would have went.
TPS report. TPS reports. We're here. We're live. Maybe live. I don't know. We're recording. Justin Clark, Braden Mullis, Pat Dixon. Guys, what's up?
What is good, both of you?
What up,
Pat's
gents?
up there sipping on some scissors.
Sipping on some gin and juice.
Sangria.
Putting them kids to bed. Sangria.
Sangria. I like it.
Members Mark Sangria. We've elevated,
like
boys.
I got a drink from Taco Bell.
I just killed a Gatorade Zero.
Yeah.
Virgin.
So we're all over the place.
Very on brand.
Yeah. Guys, this is the term I've been waiting for all year, especially since we announced it back in April. Smokin' Q 30th anniversary non-ball event, $3,000 added, 64 players. Our first 2-day event for the pool series. First of all, congratulations to Smokin' Q for being 30 years. That's amazing. I've been going there for 13 years, maybe, I think 14 years. Pat, you've been there a handful of times now. Brandon's been there a lot.
20 years.
Yeah.
Not consistently, but that was the first time I went in there.
That's a long time.
Put it this way, it had 5 tables, and the old table 14 that you know about was the premier table in the middle. It wasn't tight then.
Yeah, it used to be up in the front. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
How they've expanded is incredible.
So first and foremost, congratulations to them. And we had a pretty epic event here. We paid out a total of $20,360. Pat, I think Pat's reaction. Pat, that's the perfect reaction right there. Was that about what y'all expected? Because honestly, like, I don't think I really expected us to get to that number.
I had a number in my head to where I thought it would land before this started.
Yeah.
You want on my heart.
Yeah.
It was 15,000.
Yeah.
I thought we'd have a $15,000 pot, and we got it by more than $5,000. It's beautiful.
That's awesome. It was a wonderful weekend. All three of us were there. Me and Brandon both played. Pat, you were there for pretty much the whole time, probably 95%, probably. Which we can go ahead and mention where you were at here, as you were our number one sponsor, as always, Deadstroke Media. You had a kickball event. How did that go?
If I carry the one, there was a whopping 6 teams that showed up. So that was the fastest tournament I've ever been a part of, which was also really good because it was smoking hot that day. It was like 102 degrees outside of something crazy. But I was very, very glad that I was able to still make it for like the second half of day one, because there were some amazing matches that took place that day.
Oh, absolutely. We were glad you made it also. And y'all go check out the Deadstroke Media page, man. Those were some good matches. I watched every one of those kickball matches, by the way.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I liked you put up a couple highlights too. One of the guys made a pretty good catch.
Yeah, there's some like semi-pro professional football players, mixed basketball players that come through there and play. Like, they still need that outlet, and they got to get the juices flowing, so they'll come play some kickball. You laughing, Brandon? But I'm telling you,
laughing. I loved kickball as a kid. If I could, I would. I mean it. What's that?
Kickball was just on ESPN over the weekend. They were on ESPN The Ocho out there. They were playing Turf Wars in Maryland. It's crazy. Yeah, they paid out like $7,000 in total prize money, something like that.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Kicking a ball and acting like baseball, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can make money doing anything like that, run with it.
Yeah.
That's how it works.
That's pretty awesome, actually. Like, I am a little jealous that they got to play kickball. But let's get back on topic. So Deadstroke Media, thank you so much for doing everything you do. We also had Inkwell Design, who obviously makes our trophy, and this was a pretty awesome trophy, by the way. And of course, Inkwell Design is owned and ran by JC Riggs, who is also co-owner of Smokin' Q. So she was all over the place this weekend, and she was there all weekend, which was awesome. Pat, was this your first time meeting JC?
You took the pictures, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that was my first time meeting her. Sweet lady. Very nice.
Oh, absolutely. One of the nicest ladies.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Mrs. Smokin Q, I've always called her.
Yes.
You nailed it right in that whole intro, Justin. That trophy was unbelievable. Can't wait to see pictures of it on here.
Yeah, it's the best trophy that we've had. Don't expect that to be at every event, though.
Well, this was our Super Bowl, so
yes, absolutely.
That's okay.
Yeah, this was our Daytona 500 for sure.
This was our Pro Bowl.
What? Our what?
This was our Pro Bowl.
I like it. Okay, I like that. I'm down with that. I'm down with that. It was
the Super Bowl's coming in December.
Yeah,
no disrespect to the Q, but it's coming in December.
Yeah, because it was a non-points event. I like that. The Pro Bowl
1A and 1B.
Yeah, Pro Bowl sounds better. I like his analogy. Another sponsor, John Patera at Remax Metro Realty. We appreciate him always sponsoring us. He also played once again, finished 33rd to 48th. I think he had a pretty tough draw. I can't really remember. Let's click on it here and see. He played Joey Lowe, then he lost to Johnny Archer, then he lost to Clay Davis. That's a pretty tough draw. He got his money's worth, though.
You know what, John? We can say, okay, that's okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming out, John.
Yeah, no kidding.
He had fun, though. I know he for sure. He definitely had fun. Also sponsored by Portico Licensed General Contractors. Corey, we definitely appreciate. He was there. He participated in the Calcutta. He was there for most of the day on Sunday. He's recruited Pat Dixon to play on his APA league team. We love Corey. We love Portico. I do want one of his hats, though.
Yes. We all should get a hat. Yes.
We're also sponsored by Paul Harrison Custom Q. Sadly, he could not make it. He had an A-Ball Express thing going on, but we love Paul. Does great work. Maybe next time we have a big event, he can be there. Pool Doctors, another sponsor that's always been with us. Josh sadly did not show up. I was kind of hoping he would show up, but
he wanted to. He told me he wanted to, but he had a prior engagement. But he was definitely watching.
I understand, but we definitely appreciate him. Crown Pest Control was represented by you, Brandon. Obviously, we appreciate them. Classic Home Billiards. Bruce Bird showed up, by the way. Classic Home Billiards.
Not surprised. He's gonna come out and watch the big boys.
Yes,
he used to be one.
He still is. If he wants to be. If he wants to be,
now I'm trying to goad him in because I miss him, and he needs to come back and show us what he can do.
I'll just talk him up until he comes. I'll keep telling him how great he is and how he cashed the US Open. I think
I won't.
Yeah,
sure. Come on back, Bruce.
All right. Well, we definitely appreciate him. We also have Premier Imports of Charlotte, which is Ricky Carcamo. He also played. How did he do in the tournament? I didn't see. Do we remember where he finished?
I think he
Ricky Carcamo finished 33rd through 48th. He
lost to Mike Davis first round.
And then he beat Sean Brodowski.
Yeah, that's right. And then he lost to Viandy.
That's okay.
Yeah.
So once again, got his money's worth. But we definitely appreciate Ricky not only playing but also sponsoring. Definitely does great work on cars, by the way. If you need anything done, does wonderful work. Last sponsor was Path Insurance Agency. Elias Golly, Ely, he was there. We definitely appreciate Ely being a sponsor again. He also finished 33rd to 48th. I guess that's just where all of our sponsors decided to finish this event. They're like, we're dipping out at the same time. But definitely appreciate Ely playing an event. He played in our first couple that we did that were a little bigger. But since we switched our current format, he hasn't really been there, which I understand. He works a lot. But he lost to Joe Hyatt. Then he beat Bryson Bonham. And then he lost to Monic Surrey. So, kind of a tough draws. Every tough draw. All 64 players in this field were pretty stout. We had 10 players with a 700-plus Fargo. That's pretty sick. And we had many more that were just like right there, such as Greg Taylor, Eddie Little, Josh Heater, I think, is just below 700, I think. Clay Davis just below 700. So if you go down like 650, I think we probably had like 20 plus players that were above 650. So, Pat, is this probably the best tournament that you have attended, like skill wise?
What are we talking about?
Most definitely.
It was the Pro Bowl.
Yeah.
It was the Pro Bowl of Charlotte for sure, man. And then I think it got really exciting when we found out. I think we found out in like the 12th hour that Johnny Archer was going to show up and play. Yeah, and that was like the cherry on top of the Hawaiian cake. You know what I mean? Still in this Pro Bowl analogy, by the way. No, easily the strongest field I've ever seen, or like seen live in person for sure.
Yeah.
Short of going to like a matchroom event or something like that. This is the closest thing I've ever seen to it.
For sure. I mean, we had 2 former U.S. Open winners, Johnny Archer and Tommy Kennedy.
Johnny's a World 9-ball winner too.
Yeah, and then you had
another Mike.
Yeah, Mosconi Mike. I was going to say, and possibly a future Mosconi player, BJ Ussery. So definitely, Brandon. When's the last time you saw a tournament with this many good players in Charlotte?
Played in or been or just went?
Just that you've seen in Charlotte. That you've seen in Charlotte.
So I went to the Allen Hopkins induction. This is probably 17, 18 years ago, where Jeremy Jones beat Ronnie Wiseman in the finals. I met Corey Deuel. I've met Johnny Archer. I've met all the top
Where was that
pros.
played at?
That was played at the convention center.
Okay.
Right next to the NASCAR Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Incredible. They were all playing on old houses. That'll tell you how long ago. It was about 2007 or 8.
Yeah, that would have been the late aughts.
That's obviously the best tournament. I mean, everybody's 750 in Fargo higher at that point. I mean, paid out mega money. It was great. This is number 2 for sure. Definitely the best tournament I've ever been a part of where I played by far. I mean, there were so many. Like, this was more top heavy killer than it was bottom feeder.
Yeah, this is
really was.
For somebody that's been around Charlotte as long as I have and been really involved in the pool scene, with working at the pool hall and just being around. This was definitely by far the best tournament in the Charlotte area that I have seen in the last 15 years. Just from top to bottom. I mean, I really honestly feel like there maybe was 10 players in this tournament that you could probably say had no chance to cash. Yeah. Maybe 10. And I'm stretching that. It's probably less than that maybe just a handful of players that were, donating, so to speak. And you never see that. Normally in a big tournament like this, you're seeing, close to half the field as donators, but this one really drew the best, which is not only, I think, a testament to how well maybe the pool series runs events and how popular the brand is getting, but also I think it shows respect to how awesome Smokin Q is. Smokin Q has been going all the way back to 1994.
Yes.
And how much they have changed and how much they keep going. And I will say next year, I think we are planning on doing a couple other bigger events at Smokin Q. Maybe not quite this big, but we'll be doing more than one next year. So Pat, you get ready for that, buddy.
Can't wait.
Reschedule the kickball events. Do you hear me?
Yeah. We're don't worry about that. We'll be present for the next one for sure.
All right, guys. Y'all want to go ahead and get in our cash players? We paid out 16 spots this time. 64 players.
Let's go.
Quarter of the field is 16. We're very consistent with that. Was a 2-day event. All 16 that came back on Sunday were in the money. I was proud of that. We got done early both nights. Both nights we were done at 11 something.
11:30 on the first night. I do not remember when the finals finished, but 11:30 on Saturday night.
What time? It was about midnight. It was definitely before.
It was still great timing.
Can I say something about the top 16?
Yeah.
Do you know how hard it was to watch those matches? It was impossible. Because every match, you have 8 incredible matches. I'm like, I want to watch this one and this one. I'm like, oh my gosh, you got this match. I have never been around a tournament that strong and that good in my life.
Going into Sunday, me and Pat had to argue over which match to put on the stream first. I think we ended up going with Johnny and Mike. Was that the one that we went with?
Yeah.
I think we threatened you, actually.
Yeah.
I think we threatened
it was an argument to like us. It was an argument to a certain extent. Like you could make an argument for any of those matches for day one, but it just seemed to me like the obvious one had to be Mosconi Mike.
Well, it's crazy when the weakest match of the 4 on the winner's side was Renal Bott and Josh Heater.
That's insane.
Like in most of our tournaments,
that would be like, okay, great. Yeah. That's a finals match in itself.
Yeah, exactly. So it was crazy. That just shows you the level of the players that we had on Sunday. It was just those 16 alone, just Sunday alone, I think was super fun. And, I think when the finals finished, we still probably had Pat, 20 to 30 people in there watching?
Oh, easily. No, at least that many. For sure. Which like still watching live in there, just being, just being in the moment, man. That was that right there. And I've been to a couple of different, I guess, like, APA cities, BCA cities, where like it's more of the teams that are there watching live. But this event here, easily the best event I've ever been to as far as spectators. Like people just coming to show up just to watch pool, like the best pool being played around. It was a great environment, man.
Agreed. I don't think I've ever seen a tournament in our city that got to the finals and still had that many people watching. Normally it kind of dies out. Even, reaching out to other North Carolina cities, such as the Smoky Mountain Shootout, sometimes it'll get to the finals and there'll be hardly anybody there. So I think for there still to be 30 plus people in that building at the end was a testament to how good the competition was. I mean, and we'll talk about the finals here in a little bit, and how epic of a match that was, really, and also how strong those two competitors were. But first and foremost, let's go ahead and talk about places 13 to 16 and the people that minimum cashed. And just right off the bat, these are four super strong players. You had Clay Davis, Jeff Abernathy, Hunter White, and Bobby Isaac. I mean, in most tournaments, those guys are finishing well above 13 to 16. So
One,
for
two,
those
three.
players there, yeah, I mean, a lot of times that could be the top four in any of our tournaments. So, I mean, Pat, what do you think about just give me your thoughts on those four, man. Go into detail a little bit about how you thought they played and, did they underachieve? Did they overachieve? What do you think, Pat?
I can't say that any of them underachieved. I think the easy thing to look at is say Hunter White because of his Fargo rate that he may have underachieved, but you got to consider that he's not a rotational player as good as much as he is he's a one pocket player who's getting into rotation ball, right? So, I mean, his skill level in itself is the reason why he's able to crack that top 16. You know what I mean? Just off of sheer talent and knowledge of the game. But the more he plays rotation, the more I can say that okay, if he stays in the bottom 16, the bottom 8, then he would be underachieving at that point. Because any other tournament that you put him in the pool series outside of that one thing he lost and he got up out of there, he's probably cracking top 3.
Oh, yeah.
In any of those tournaments. I think he ended up winning the last one at Blue Rocks against Eddie Little in the finals as well. So to look at this lineup, to look at this field, considering everything that it was, I can't say that any of these guys underachieved. I think they are right where they're supposed to be. Any of them could have placed higher, and it wouldn't have been a surprise. But once we start getting into those folks who are in these, in the top 12, I don't think you could look at these guys and say that you should have done more. I think they did everything that they could, and they had a great event.
Agreed. I think that's very well put right there. Brandon, what do you think about those four guys and how they did over the weekend?
I agree with a lot of what Pat just said. I'll tell you the one that surprised me, mainly because I didn't know him, so I really got stuck into watching him play, was Bobby Isaac. He's a good shot.
Yeah.
He played in the ring game with us a little bit the night before, and I was like, okay, this guy's definitely got some game. I have never seen him before, so I'm going to give him that respect. He had a great tournament, a great show out. So as far as the other ones, I mean, it's pretty typical. I would have expected Hunter. Hunter's been playing rotation for a long time, so he's not unfamiliar with the game. I mean, I've watched him win plenty of rotation tournaments, so I know sometimes he ran into a smoking hot Clint Clark. I mean, that's a hard train to stop. I mean, can't fault him for that. I mean, he would still be favored in that match, but sometimes that happens. But Jeff and Clay, considering that this field that we're in, I think you could argue the case maybe a spot more or two, but they're pretty dead on for the most part.
Yeah, I was glad to see Bobby finally show up and play in one of our events. I know he's been interested in playing in a couple others. Super nice guy, and a really good player. He'll tell you he overachieved, but I don't think he did. Yeah, Hunter, Jeff, and Clay. I mean, Clay with running the tournament as well and being involved so much behind the scenes. I figured that this would be a hard tournament for him just for 2 days. I mean, it's hard mentally to keep fighting through, but for him to cash, I mean, that's really, really awesome. Not to say that, it wouldn't surprise me if he finished top 4 at all. Jeff Abernathy and Hunter White are two of those players where you expect them to be in the money somewhere. So I think us talking about them at this part of the show is no surprise. But let's get to the 9th through 12th. Let's get the one round closer here to the top. 4 other good players. You had Joshua Padron, Adam Penley, Liam Wynn, Nathan Childress. That's a pretty solid foursome right there. Brandon, what do you think about those 4 guys and how they did in this tournament?
All right. So, Liam, sir, you're a lot better player than I realized. I always knew you were good, and I'd already heard, But now that I've been watching a lot of your matches and you've been playing in a lot more of these events, I'm realizing you're a really strong player. And I'm not that surprised that you made it up this high. Adam Penley, not shocked at getting in the money. That's the type of guy that can come through and win these tournaments.
Third
He gave BJ Usry all he wanted on the A side. I mean, I thought Adam was going to win. I mean, I saw the Calcutta horses really sweating. So, I mean, with all that being said, you know, he did end up losing to the better player, so you can't be mad about that. But I had heard of Josh Padron. He's a guy out of Raleigh, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I had heard of him
Yeah.
before. He's a good player. He's really strong.
Very solid.
Best
And
beard in the tournament,
he had a
dude.
great tourney. What's that?
Best beard in the
tourney?
tournament.
Yeah. We said that during the Calcutta.
Really?
We said that
I
during
mean,
the
what
No,
Calcutta.
Joshua Padron. Yeah, no.
What about him?
Somebody took a laser level to that man's
is
beard
good.
in the
You are
barbershop and just went,
Joshua, you got first in the beard game, no question. So, and I think I covered all of them.
Nathan, you didn't talk about
Nathan, yeah, okay, a little surprising on that. That's the one that's surprising on here. I actually in the pre-show picked him second to get second in this tourney. So to land in the 9 through 12, I mean, a little surprising. I mean, he had to go through a bunch of killers, you know, as all these guys did, you know, but I had him picked second. So this one for me is a little underwhelming, but you know, in the next one, don't be surprised if he goes all the way.
Yeah, I think Pat, what do you got any thoughts on what Brandon said or anything to add on about what you thought about those 4 players?
all hogwash. Why is he? No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. I agree. No, I agree wholeheartedly, Brandon. I would say too that Joshua Padron, Adam Penley both surprised me. Adam Penley, for me, if we're just talking about raw talent, he is probably one of the most talented guys that's in this entire field. Just raw talent itself.
Did you know Adam before this weekend? I think this is the first time you ever seen him, right?
First time I've ever seen him, Padron. First time I ever seen him, met him. Super nice guy, by the way. He's a really cool guy.
Oh yeah.
Really great shot as well. I think, did they play each other? Were they going to war back there in the back for a little bit? Or
Adam
they
and
played on the stream table?
Yeah, they played on the stream table on day 1. Yeah, Adam beat him. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that match later. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll talk about more about that. I think he took Bobby Isaacs. I think they went hill, and I think he might have pulled it off against Bobby Isaacs. Joshua Padron did back there in the back. Yeah. I think I was commentating the match, and I was kind of keeping an eye on him back there.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, both of those guys, super, super talented. Adam Penley really shocked me because he would come and he would shoot a little bit in between matches on the TV table, and I would say like, this guy's got a pretty good shot. And then I actually got a chance to see him play when him and Padron played. And I was like, oh snap! This guy's super talented. I think he had a jump shot that was like a 6-inch. Like he had 1 inch of clearance. He had to get over a ball to like a 6-inch jump to get to the next one, and it was like a little chip in putt for him. I was like, it was one of the craziest little jump shots I've ever seen, and he just made it look so easy.
Maybe we'll get a highlight of that on the YouTube channel at some point.
Maybe we will, Justin. Maybe one day I'll have a minute to actually do something with my life. I would say that, Brandon, I love your assessment of Liam because I think you are right on the money with that. I don't think that I also realized how good he actually is. Like, he's such a solid player, and he's like how I would have described Jeff Pate.
Yes.
About 6 or 7 months ago. It's boring. You know what I mean? Like it, in the most respectful way. He doesn't do anything exciting. He's not like a very extroverted or flamboyant kind of player. He's very calm. Whether he makes a fantastic shot and gets perfect position or he jumps the ball off the table, he's the same guy. And he pitter-patters over back to his seat and he sits down. And then when it's his turn again, he gets up and he comes back and he shoots a shot and he wins matches. Very underwhelming, but a very effective player. So I love your assessment on him. I think Nathan might be, like you said, I think I would have expected him to be a little bit higher, maybe closer to that 7th, 8th, 5th, 6th spot more than anything. But the 9th through 12, again, with the field as big as this and as talented as this, I can't say for sure, like, oh, they definitely should have been higher. Or, I mean, you could take anybody, honestly, between 16 and 9 and swap some names and it could still make sense, you know?
I think yeah, Josh Padron is a guy that's like right there with all those big guys. He's probably a step below So 9 through 12 is probably where he belongs in this tournament. But super nice guy. He
very polite.
Yeah, I think he spent probably 2 hours fixing his beard because he stayed with me that night. I think he worked on his beard for like 2 hours probably. I'm just kidding, Josh.
He deserves credit because it's amazing.
Let's say, if he did, it showed.
I need to throw one thing else about Liam. He has my favorite quality of a pool player. You know what it is? He just plays the game. That's it. You don't get the extras from a lot of players, and I mean a lot of players. We all know who they are. We don't need to mention their names. You get none of that from him, and that's why I hope he comes to every event.
Yeah, he signed up for our next one already. Good. I think what Pat said about Adam Penley having the most natural game out of anybody in this field is probably true. Adam is a natural player. But for some reason, I feel like 9th through 12th is probably where he's supposed to finish. I don't know why. Don't ask me why, because I think he does have the best natural game. But if you ask me before the tournament, I'd say, yeah, Adam Penley, probably 9 through 12. I don't know why. I have no idea. He's one of those, like, he's like the early 2000 San Diego Chargers, when they had LaDainian Tomlinson. Like, yeah, they're a second-round playoff team. Like, yeah. I mean, you have no idea why. It's like the Buffalo Bills now. You're like, yeah, they're going to lose before the Super Bowl. Like, why? We don't know. They should be winning. Adam Penley should be winning. But 9th through 12th, I think, is where he's at. Nathan Childress is definitely the one so far that we have talked about that is lower than he should be.
Underwhelmed.
That kid, if you ask me, is easily top 5 out of everybody in this field. But he also had a tough draw. He also had a very tough draw, which, I mean, we could say that about anybody. So sometimes that's just how the cookie crumbles. Sometimes you just don't make it to the top 5. Sometimes things happen. But Nathan, keep your head up. You're still a great player. I was really glad he came to play. Super nice guy. His girlfriend had a spot in the field also. Really glad that she played. And then Liam Wynn, possibly the best term he's ever had in his life, beats Clay Davis, beats Justin Clark, beats Jeff Abernathy, almost beats Shannon Fitch. Liam, good job, buddy. Absolutely. Keep it up. Hopefully this is a stepping stone. Hopefully this continues a trend upward and not just like this was an outlier, like hopefully this continues. So yeah, that was a really good foursome there once again. 7th and 8th.
He'll win a pool series tournament before the year's over.
I think he'll win one.
I think so.
Yeah. I think so as well. It could even be our next event.
I was gonna say.
Yeah. He does play really good 8-ball, so it could be our next event. Let's get to 7th and 8th though. This is where we get to the local guys, and it was good to see 2 regular local players finish up pretty high in this tournament. Josh Heater, Clint Clark, 7th, 8th place. Pat, what do you think about Heater and Mr. Clint?
I've learned that the more. Never mind. I'm not going to say that. Let me go to Brandon. Got to reset. Go to Brandon.
All right, go to Brandon. Brandon, what do you think about Josh and Clint? We know you're a big fan of both of them.
I am. I have said numerous times to Pat and other people, Heater is one of my favorite players to watch when he's on. And
he's one of my favorite players to watch when he's not on because he gets so mad.
Absolutely.
It's fun to watch him explode, honestly. Like, I cheer for him and I want Josh to do well. But, boy, is it fun to watch him explode like he was in the match against Ronald. Like, I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, it is so hard not to be laughing at you right now. And then he rebounded with a couple of good wins to finish 7th, 8th. And I was like, this is why you're a great player. This is why everybody knows Josh Heater. This is why you go for a lot in the Calcuttas. This is why everybody picks you to win these tournaments. But, yeah, I love to watch him play whether he's doing great or whether he's imploding. It's like it's like Draymond Green.
He's saying it, not me.
It's like Draymond Green. I love to watch Draymond Green play when they're winning 73 games. I love to watch him play when he's getting kicked out 15 seconds in a game. But yeah, no, I root for Josh. I want Josh. Josh is a cool dude, but it's entertaining, man. He's entertaining. He's what the game needs. We need more people with his attitude. I love it. But Brandon, continue on.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, continue on with your thoughts.
Josh, I gotta give you all the credit in the world because you just had a son. Congratulations. I mean, that literally just happened like a week before this tourney. So to be able to be focused on that, he's obviously super excited about that. And then to carry this into this grind with this group of killers, you know what, bud? I know you'll be the first to admit, so I'll just say it for you. You had a bad match with Ronald, but I also know the worst player to play is a Josh Heater that's just lost. That's what happened with Nathan Childress. He ran into Josh Heater at the wrong time.
Yeah.
When Josh loses, he's out for blood. He might act mad, but he's ready for the next guy. I'm
Oh,
telling
he was very eager to go play.
He has got that dog in him, and
Yeah.
that's exactly what he showed. And Clint Clark, I was in the path of that tornado to start off with. That was 13-minute long set, but never mind that. Clint played great the whole tournament. I mean, he had to play Renal first round, right?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go through. I'm gonna go through Clint's tournament here really quick. He loses to Renal first round, and then possibly comes a fantastic day and a half here. He beats Russell Benthal 7-1, Brandon Mullis 7-0, Scott Roberts 7-2, Jacob Blake 7-1, Hunter White 7-4. Congrats on getting to 4. Apparently, that's a huge accomplishment here. Adam Penley, he beats 7-1, and then he finally loses to Shannon Fitch. What a run!
What was the score with Fitch?
7-5.
Okay, so it's close. I mean, I think
7-4. Sorry, 7-4. Sorry.
I think Clint Fargo's underrated.
683.
683.
It might be a little low.
You think he's underrated?
I do. I think he plays as good as Renal.
That's interesting.
I know we lost to him. I get it, but I mean, they're also teammates, so they probably play a lot. But
So here's a question: how big of a difference is 20 points?
No, it really
in Fargo.
I don't think
You
so.
know, especially at that level. 683 versus 707. That's what, 24 points? What's a 24, 25 point difference?
All right.
Quarter of a century.
At that level, it's all about who has that dog in them. Just my thoughts at their level. At a lower level, not as much, but at their level, it's all about who wants to win more.
That's interesting. I'll look at that one as well and say, like, who's in their high gear at that time? You know what I mean? Like, who's still getting warmed up? Who's in their high gear? For him to lose to Runal, who I can't wait to talk about, by the way.
I mean, if we're going to talk about Fargo, the lowest one out of all 16, other than Bobby Isaac, who doesn't really have one, would be 644, and that's Joshua Padron, by the way. So everybody's Fargo is pretty high.
Yeah.
Here. Yeah. So Pat, go into detail about Heater and Clint now that if you're ready to talk.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I'm ready to talk. I'm just glad you said it when Rod did, because he was having a meltdown playing Gene Ziegler, the Zig over there. I think they were just having like a little exhibition match or whatever it was, and he was just telling us that, like, look, man, when I'm on, I'm doing X, Y, and Z, and I know I can shoot. Da, 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 da. So to your point, it's the first time that I've had like more than just a little bit of an interaction with Josh Heater, especially in a tournament setting. Like, I've seen him play before, but not in a field like this. And haven't been around him when he's lost and he's like on edge, and you can see he's pissed and he wants to do well, and he's not like falling apart, but he's just expressing himself, which I find equally as hilarious. But it also resonates with me as well, because I feel the exact same way that he does. You know what I mean? When I lose, and I'm like, bro, I know what I can do. I'm not doing it, but I'm telling you, bro, like, he's that guy. Like, look, man, I'm telling you, back in the day. But no, he's very, very fun to watch. I honestly didn't know that he was as good as he was. If I'm being real, I didn't know that he was like 690 Fargo, like damn near 700 Fargo rated player. I didn't know. I'm used to seeing his name pop up on old like APA matches that come up on YouTube and stuff like that. Like older tournaments, but I didn't realize how good he was until I saw him play in person in this tournament. Dude is a dog, just like you said, Brandon. And then Clint.
Yeah.
Clint's going to Clint. I've already seen firsthand what Clint can do when Clint's on fire. So his run, it doesn't surprise me, but it's still just as impressive. You know what I mean? Even when Clint is on, man, it's something special to watch. He's such a fun player to watch when he's on and he's clicking and firing on all cylinders, man. He's hard to beat. He's a hard guy to beat.
Oh, when he gets in rhythm, yeah, he's almost impossible to beat. I was really proud that both those guys finished as high as they did. I was hoping that they would, because, I want the local guys to do well. I don't want it just to be all. I mean, literally everybody else ahead of them, other than Ronald, the other 5 people ahead of them that we're yet to talk about, don't play in Charlotte. I think Heater and Clint are Charlotte players. I mean, Clint might be from Hickory, but he's a Charlotte player. Heater might be from Albemarle, but where is that? Where he's from, Albemarle?
No, I thought he was from Monroe.
Monroe, okay. He's a Charlotte player. So I was glad that both those guys cashed. That was it was fun to watch. But let's move on to the top 6. And the top 6, all 700 plus Fargo guys. So that tells you just how strong our final six is. And fifth, sixth place, we'll start off with a guy that I had not seen in a very long time. And boy, was I glad that he wanted to come up and play in this tournament because he's the first person I ever saw break and run the 10 ball rack during the weekly break and run contest. And that is Shannon Fitch.
Mm.
And then, of course, we get Moscone Mike Davis, another high finish. Always a Smokin Q player, always coming to any big event at Smokin Q. He's won a couple big tournaments at Smokin Q in the past. So Shannon Fitch, Mike Davis, fifth, sixth place. Pat, we'll start with you this time. First time I know that you've seen Shannon Fitch. So what's your thoughts on his game?
Great player. I think I might have commentated his match with Tommy Kennedy with Rico, if I'm not mistaken. No, man, super great player. Go through his run real quick. He beats Jesse Draper 7-1. I think he's absolutely supposed to win that one. Beats Greg Taylor 7-3.
That was an extreme match.
Beats Chris Turner 7-6. That one went to the hill. Lost to Tommy Kennedy. He beats Liam Wynn. Beats Clint Clark. That is no small feat. And then ultimately loses to Johnny Archer on the hill as well, 7-6. So I mean, it may not be surprising to anybody else that he's as high as he is, but it was to me just because, like you said, I never heard of him.
Yeah, it wasn't
until he got there.
If I had, I listed like my top 5 or 6 before the tournament, and one guy that I didn't mention in those 5 or 6, and I said this guy's a dark horse, that would be Shannon Fitch. So I was not surprised at all with Fitch 6. And what do you think about Mike's run to the final 5?
Great run. He is the one that I thought would have been higher.
Yeah,
I thought Moscone Mike would have been at least in the finals, second place, or been the champion of the whole thing.
yeah.
And that I don't say champion of the whole thing loosely because say what you want. I know who BJ Ussery is on a pool table, right? I know who that guy is on the pool table, but I thought Mike would have been closer to the top. So, and I think that's just a testament again to just the field and how well everyone at the top was playing that day. Everybody was in their high gear for the most part throughout the entire day. On day number 2, I mean. So,
Yeah, definitely.
Mike went. Go ahead.
It definitely seemed like all the top players were playing almost to their potential throughout the whole tournament. Like I didn't see any of the top guys really struggle, maybe for one match, or maybe for a few racks, but none of them really played a bad match, I don't think.
Yeah, maybe one guy.
Yeah.
But I think he kind of we're going to talk about him in a minute, but
Yeah.
I think how do I want to put it? He played at a very high level for about 4 to 5 rounds straight. And then he got to a point where mistakes were made and he just never had he just never recovered. He had a chance to, but he could never find that groove again. And then he had to settle for where he had to settle at. But I can't wait to talk about it. So I'm going to stop talking now.
Well, then that's all right. Let's hurry up and move on to him then. We'll move on to Brandon's thoughts on Shannon Fitch and Moscone Mike finishing fifth, sixth.
When those two are finishing fifth, sixth in any tourney, you got a great tourney.
Yeah.
I've known both of them a long time, but I knew what Shannon Fitch was going to bring to the table. Because, I mean, that guy has one of the more unique styles. Both these guys do, and they have just perfected their craft. Shannon is such he moves a cue ball as well as anybody in the tourney. It was fun to watch him play. But, I mean, with the exception of one of the guys in the top 4, I'm not that surprised to see where how we ended up.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think, believe it or not, I think fifth, sixth is I think it's where Shannon belongs. I agree with what Pat said about Mike. You usually expect Mike to be top 2. I mean, just when it comes to skill set, but
I think what's funny is if you were to, in the 30 years of Smokin Q, create like a Mount Rushmore of players that have played there on somewhat of a regular basis, I would put Shannon Fitch and Mike Davis on that Mount Rushmore because, I mean, Shannon hasn't been around for a long time, but for a while he was a staple for every tournament there, and Mike has been a staple for every tournament there for the last 20 years. I think those two guys plus BJ Ussery would be like your, 3 or 4 Mount Rushmore of Smokin Q regular tournament players. So Yeah, it was pretty awesome to see them play and to see them both finish as high. But let's move on to the top 4 now. This is when things get really, really fun. And we get to talk about the first former U.S. Open champion that we get to talk about, Johnny Archer, the Scorpion. You know you're good when you got like a legitimate nickname and a pool cue named after you. Yeah, he was a late addition. He filled in. He was on the wait list. Somebody dropped out. He got in. Brandon, what do you think, man? Johnny Archer.
All right, this is where I get to sound like a little school kid and be, like, oh my gosh, it's him. But it's true. It's true. When I was coming up in pool, I watched, and you got to remember this is I'm 45 and I started playing at 22. So in my very beginning years, I watched Efren, Johnny, and Earl. That's who it was. You actually went to the internet. This is before YouTube existed, and you actually either had their DVDs or you found a way to somehow get it online. But most of it was DVDs, and I watched hours of Archer. I mean, I watched all of them, but those 3 specifically. But probably him the most because Earl was such a hothead. They got to a point where it was kind of overwhelming. So you watch more Archer. I learned so much by watching him. So now that I got to call his matches, and his match with Renal was the best match I've ever called in my life, by far. Winner.
Yes.
To me, it was very fulfilling, and to see him lose. I mean, you get to see your childhood hero lose to better player. Well, one of them was a better player, for sure. But I mean, Johnny had a great tourney. Johnny actually was a little more tested than people realize. Now he did come out on fire against Mike Davis. I'm like, okay, this is the Johnny.
match.
Yeah, by far. Yeah, I agree. He came out on fire against Mike Davis, but he definitely fizzled out later in the day. I think there were some frustrating things that got a hold of him. But anyway, back to the point. I mean, I thought Johnny's John. I mean, when you say Johnny, we already know who we're talking about. That's the type of legend he is. And the fact that he was there, I love it. I mean, I hope he comes to all the big events. I mean that.
Yeah, that'd be awesome if he started coming around more. I'm glad he's starting to play more pool again. Pat, what do you think about Johnny Archer?
No, I mean, I don't know that I could sum up, it any better than what Brandon just did. I mean, the guy's talking about one of his childhood heroes, and it's more so an honor than anything just to be around a legend of the sport. Like, how often do we get a chance to say that, especially, being in Charlotte, our own little local pool halls, our own little local watering holes, and Johnny Archer is in the building. The next guy who we're going to talk about at number 2, he's in the building. Like, we got legends of the sport actually coming in, and we're able to like rub elbows and talk and kind of chop it up with them. Man, it was really cool. On the pool table, my God, when I got home that night, the first thing I did was I Googled Johnny Archer, and I started watching like all of his old AccuStats, like 1991 through like 96 9-ball championship matches. And it wasn't that different of a guy. You know what I mean? So I like you guys were saying, I love seeing him play today, and I was so glad that I was able to see him play live and in person, and see like, okay, it's not so much that he still has it, but I don't think it ever left. You know what I mean? Like the talent, he could have easily he could have won this one. He could win the next one, the next big one that we do. Like the guy still has a whole lot more that he can give to the world of pool. So I'm excited for him.
Yeah, it's really awesome. I mean, anytime you get a former U.S. Open winner to show up, it's really great, and especially a guy who is probably one of the best American pool players ever.
No question.
I will say though, you can search YouTube and find where I played him one time on a stream. So
already found it. Already watched it.
Yeah. I lose.
You want to talk about it?
Okay. No, I lose 7-5. I didn't play my best, but it was a fun match. I had a lot of fun.
That was the Herman Parker.
That was the Ron Park Memorial.
Yeah, Ron Park Memorial. But Herman, yeah.
The first year after Ron passed away,
yes.
I think there was like 128 players or something. Forget. I played Johnny. It was second round of the winner's side. I won my first round, and then lost to Johnny the second round. But yeah, it was on the stream table, so that was pretty cool. Let's move on to third place, man. We finally get another local guy, a guy who I think is, as I've said, might be the best player in Charlotte. Out of all the regular players in Charlotte, and I think all the big names know who he is now, and that is the Bot Man, Renal Bot, with a third place finish. Pat, do you want to talk about him?
I do want to talk about.
Yeah, you've been ready for
First of all, I just had to go ahead and queue up Johnny Archer versus Justin Clark, Ronnie Park Benefit Memorial 3 years ago. Make sure that's on the TV for when this is over. I'm watching that next.
Yeah, have fun.
There is not a doubt in my mind that he could lose 10 matches in a row tomorrow. Runal Bot is the best pool player in Charlotte.
Yeah.
As of right now, he is the guy.
Yeah.
Okay. After what I saw that weekend, I don't care what anybody has. Love Clay Davis, love David Anderson, what you get, Clint Clark. Hey, the bot man is the guy. Okay. He's next to win a TPS trophy. Can't wait for him to do it. But the run that he had, the high gear that he had was damn near scary. When he was actually, this is the strongest performance I've ever seen him have.
Yes.
Any tournament playing any player. We talked about, I want to say it might have been the last podcast that we did. It might have been the last TPS reports where we say sometimes it feels like he plays to the level of his competition. Well, Dude was playing to the level of his competition today. There were some world-class players in the building at the 30th anniversary of the Smokin' Q. And my God, if he didn't look like he was the best player in the entire field, and through a couple of different matches, right? Especially the one against Johnny Archer when I went Hill, and he ended up playing that. I think it was the last shot. He ended up playing a defense or something like that. Left the 9 ball and the cue ball cross side of the table, and people were like, "Man, he had the shot. Like, why didn't he just take, the deep cut on the 9?" And ultimately, that decision led him to win that match and book his ticket to the hot seat. I can't say enough about the guy. Renal, I know you be watching these, dog. I know you watch these. I know you listen to them. You are the man, okay? Whatever you got to do to get over this hump, do it, okay? Stop shooting 9 ball, find some drills, do some stroke. I don't know what you got to do, bro, but I got to see you win some chips, okay? I gotta see you win these championships and take these trophies home, man. All right? It's time. It's time. Enough of these third place finishes, these second place finishes. We're not splitting no more. Don't split nothing. If you get to these chips, you play and you win. Okay? You got to take these hardware, the hardware home. All right? He is the number one guy. Can I just go through his run real quick? Can we just talk about Renal's run? Okay? Beats Clint Clark 7-5. Beats Jeff Helpler 7-0. I'm not sure who Jeff Helpler is. I don't know if that Fargo is right. It's 318.
That's pretty low. It should be Jeff's probably like a 580 or something.
7-0. Yeah. Beats Justin Clark respectively. Beats Josh Heater 7-2. Beats Johnny freaking Archer 7-6. Hill, one of the greatest matches I've ever seen in my life. Loses to Tommy Kennedy. Can't wait to talk about TK. And then ultimately loses to BJ Usry as well, 4-7. Those last couple of matches is where I saw him fizzle out. And that still seems to be, at least for me, kind of the story that's still being written about Runal. He's got to find a way to finish, whatever that is. He's got to figure out a way to get to that next step. What's that extra little piece of something that he can tap into to finish a tournament, right? Because the stronger players are going to be there at the end. You have to find a way to stay in that high gear for those last couple of matches and close these things out. All right. I'm being a little hard on him because, I mean, this is the 30th anniversary, right? He's playing professional level players at this point. But this is still the same kind of results that we see at Blue Rocks, the same results that we see at Rackham, in April or whatever it is that we play. You got to find a way to get over that hump, Renal. I believe in you, bro. Believe in you. I know you can do it. I need to see it. Best player in Charlotte. No question.
Agreed. You bring you guys ahead?
I have a bunch of things to add to this.
Yeah.
All right. I'm ready to add a number of things to this. Number one, I guess Clint Clark got a trophy before the best player in Charlotte did. That's where I'm going to lead off there. I stick with what I said, even though I think Renal's an incredible player. Number two, you said that, he has to get over the hump to get to that number one spot. You know how you get over the hump, Pat? These matches, these tourneys, you have to go through this. Every player at a point when he's up and coming and he increases his competition, he has to go through this. I went through it. He went through it. A number of players we know go through it. You have to learn from your mistakes to get to where you want to be. Okay? You don't ask yourself, you don't what player when he doesn't win a tournament, does he remember his wins or does he remember his losses? They always remember their losses. They always remember what they did wrong. Where did I mess up on this shot? These are the things that you figure out on your way to the top. And I have news for you. He's going to win multiple trophies because he is that good. And now he believes he's that good. As far as fizzling out, I will say this. After a huge emotional win over Johnny freaking Archer, okay, I'm not that surprised he had a letdown with TK. And then BJ Usry owed him something fierce. If anybody thought that match was going to go any differently, they were fooling themselves. Anybody doesn't believe it, they can look in the chat and see how many people picked BJ to win that match. Okay, so but Renal, I am a fan. And by the way, here's my final words to Renal. You've arrived. You're here. You're there. You're there. You belong.
I think
Period.
I think Renal, when I played Renal in the third round, I told him, I said, whoever wins this is probably playing for the hot seat. I think Renal lost to the two guys he's supposed to lose to in this tournament. And I think he beat the guys he's supposed to beat. I think that's what it comes down to. I think he wasn't quite good enough to pull off an upset, and he wasn't bad enough to lose a match that he was supposed to win. I mean, I think he's supposed to beat Johnny Archer in 2024. If Johnny Archer plays like he did in 1991, yeah, Johnny's obviously supposed to win. But this is 2024. This is, this isn't, he's not playing prime Johnny Archer. He's playing, Johnny Archer. I mean, it's like LeBron playing for the Lakers. Like our team's supposed to celebrate when they knock him out in the first round. Like, no, I mean, they're probably supposed to. But that leads me to my next comparison.
I agree with what you're saying.
The next comparison is Ronaldo might be the Boston Celtics. He might be the dude who just is good enough, but for some reason can't win. And he might need to maybe win one that's kind of easier, like the Celtics just did maybe. But Ronaldo will win eventually, and it's only a matter of time. And I do think he is the best player in the 704 area code. And like I said, I think the matches that he won, what did he win? 4 matches? He won 5 matches. All 5 that he won, he's supposed to win. I mean, it's that plain and simple. I mean, if you don't think he's supposed to beat Johnny Archer in 2024, then you obviously either don't know who Ronaldo is or you don't watch Johnny play anymore. And, Ronaldo's supposed to beat Josh Heater. He's supposed to beat me.
I agree with that.
So good job, Ronaldo. I'm a huge fan. I totally want him to win. And like I said, I mean, I think if he could have just pulled off one upset, he's in the finals, which leads us to the second place guy, one of the guys that beat him, another former U.S. Open winner. Another guy who won some other big tournaments at Smokin Q. Mr. Tommy Kennedy, the legend. I never once saw him juggle this weekend, which kind of upset me, by the way, but we can talk about that later. Pat, we'll lead off with you. Did you know Tommy? And obviously, I'm guessing this was the first time you've seen him play.
Very first time. First time I've ever met him, seen him play, heard of him. I'm still a baby in the game. So, I'm still learning who these people are, but great guy. Made me go back and watch 1992, 91, 93 AccuStats championships, and super phenomenal player. Phenomenal player. Great guy as well. I will add to this. If Ronaldo's supposed to be Johnny Archer, then he's also supposed to be Tommy Kennedy as well. But I digress. All right.
Tommy plays a little better than Johnny.
I agree with Justin.
Yeah.
All right. No worries. But no, super great guy, man. I was pulling for him something serious in that championship match. I wanted him to win real bad. Just the run that he had, and a little bit of his personality too, man. He's just a really nice guy. Just a really nice, sweet, sweet dude, man. But his talent on the and very entertaining. I think personalities like him, just like how you mentioned Josh Heater, Justin, early on. Like we need bigger more effervescent
Yeah.
personalities in the game of pool to help grow the sport. I think
His
makes it more.
personality is great for pool. Absolutely.
Absolutely. He beats Tim Nelson 7-2, opening up, beats Joe Hyatt
He beat
7-2.
Jeff Pate. He beat Jeff Pate first round.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't scroll all the way up to the top. Thank you, man. Jeff Pate 7-1, Tim Nelson 7-2, Joe Hyatt 7-2. Shannon Fitch takes him to the hill, beats him. Beats BJ Usry the first time, controversial match that happened there, 7-5, beating Renal 7-3, and then ultimately loses in the championship, although he fought back tremendously and got it all the way back to the hill before losing to BJ. Became one of my favorite players. Became one of my favorite players that I've ever seen play in person as well. He's got the most body English I've ever seen anybody use on the pool table before. I'm still working on that highlight right now, Justin. Don't worry.
Yes, please.
I promise you, that's actually the one that I'm working on right now. But no, can't say enough about that guy, man. He had a great run, a great 2 days. I was rooting for him the whole time. Really wanted him to pull it out, especially after the comeback that he was making against BJ. But in the end, the better player did win. But shout out to Tommy Kennedy, man. Super nice guy. Great to meet you as well if you ever hear this.
Yeah. I'm just going to go ahead and chime in before we get to Brandon. I think Tommy finished in second place. The finals is probably what I would have guessed before the tournament started. I think Tommy is probably the second best player in the tournament. Out of all the big names, though, he was the only one that was there on Friday night to practice. As Brandon can tell you, Brandon was there also. And Tommy is just super entertaining. He plays really good. And yeah, I mean, I think it's always fun to watch him play. Just he has so much fun when he's playing. Yeah, I mean, he played perfect, man. What do you think? What do you think, Brandon?
I think Tommy Kennedy, I'd like to start off saying personally is the most genuine man I've ever met.
Absolutely.
You know, I have no problem talking about this subject with anybody. He's a man of God and he walks it out. So, that's part of the reason you get that out of Tommy Kennedy. Number two, he has got the absolute most unique style on a pool table I've ever seen. Him and Keith McCready are the two most unique styles of pool playing I have ever seen. He uses about that much shaft when he strikes the ball. I don't see how he does it, but he's perfected it. And man, he played some great pool overall. I mean, just keeps it fun, keeps it lighthearted. Love everything about him. I'm with Justin on this. We don't always see eye to eye because it's no fun that way. But he was the second best player in the tourney. He really was. I mean, even with the health problems he had a number of years ago, his talent level is incredible. I mean, he is just he had his own tour for years. That's why you didn't see him in the bigger events.
The Seminole Tour? Is that what it's called?
Seminole Tour.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, with all that being said, Tommy just played incredible all day. For anybody who hadn't watched any of his matches, you need to go watch a lot. Go research all of his matches. You'll see. I mean, this guy, and he plays the same, even at his age, plays the same from 11A to 12P.
Yeah.
I don't see how anybody does that, but he does.
He doesn't get
Does a
tired.
great no.
Yeah, I think it was definitely a lot of fun to watch him play. I was really glad he showed up. He was super happy about the tournament from day one. Every time I talked to him, all the way up until the day of the tournament, he was just asking me about it. He's like, "Man, I can't wait! I can't wait!" He was more excited, I think, than the three of us, which is hard to do. Let's move on. Let's move on though to the winner, and it's only natural that this guy wins the 30th anniversary. Definitely the favorite. He's probably, when you think of a Smokin' Q pool player right now, this is probably the guy you think of. The guy that's probably going to be on the Mosconi Cup this year, a guy who's winning banger after banger after banger. I don't know what else to say. I'm kind of running out here, guys. But the winner of the 30th anniversary Smokin' Q, the guy that will go down in history, BJ Ussery. Congratulations on the win. Pat Dixon, talk to us about what you thought of BJ's tournament.
He played well.
I mean, yeah.
Short and sweet.
Yeah. I really don't
I'm
know
gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't like the moment where he didn't shake Tommy Kennedy's hand after their match when Tommy Kennedy beat him. That rubbed me completely the wrong way. And to give context, in that match, he felt, which if he truly felt that way, that's quite all right. He can feel however he wants to feel. He felt that Tommy Kennedy was slow playing him. Tommy Kennedy would shoot a shot. He would go and he'd get some chalk. Chalk is cute. Come back, shoot a shot. Look at it. He might grab some more chalk. To where BJ mentioned out loud, chalk, 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 chalk. And he made a reference to another player. Was it John Hennessy?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Is that what it was? But being front and center, I didn't see it that way at all. I didn't feel like there was any slow play or any malicious intent happening. I felt like that there was a pace and a rhythm to Tommy Kennedy's game, and not being as unbiased as possible. Like I really did feel that way. But to not shake his hand after the match, I didn't like it. It left a bad taste in my mouth about the guy in terms of that. But in terms of pool play, he played very well, and congratulations to him for winning.
I think BJ was more mad at himself during that match because if you go look at his run to that point, he beats Derek Bridges, Liam Wynn, Bobby Isaac, Adam Penley, and honestly, I don't know if I saw BJ break a sweat in any of those matches. I don't think he really tried, and I think that kind of led into the Tommy match that first time, and BJ just couldn't quite get to that level that he needed to, and I think it bothered him more so than what Tommy was doing. And BJ just used that as fuel because after that he played lights out for the rest of
And
the
it
tournament.
worked.
Yeah, so I think sometimes you just gotta, it's like, it's like Michael Jordan, getting pissed off at people for chewing gum in the front row. It's like, bro, people can chew gum. Like, yeah, it's like, sometimes it's just what those great players need. They just need that, whatever it is, as small of a complaint or whatever, they need that to help them get to that next level. And it works for BJ every single time. And I don't know if he does it just to get himself there, or if he does it maybe to throw the other person off, but it works for him. And he came back and won. And the last 3 or 4 matches, he played perfect. Brandon, what your thoughts?
Couple of thoughts. Number one, even if Tommy was slow playing him, there's no shot clock. It's not in the rules. You play your game and you don't worry about your opponent. End of story.
Or you could always tell the tournament director.
Yeah, tell the tournament director, and then that's his job to deal with it. Number two, mate. I've always been controversial about this. It doesn't bother me if somebody doesn't shake hands. That reflects their character, not yours. You just move on and do your job. Number two, actually, BJ's match with Adam Penley went hill, and that's the one.
I think it was 7-5.
I thought either way, BJ was losing most of
Yeah,
the match.
7-5, yeah.
I know that.
Yeah, he was down like 4-1, I think.
Yes. So, I mean, I think once he realized he could lose, that's when he really turned it on the rest of the day. I mean, it was impressive, except for this match we're talking about right here. But, I mean, either way, he came back, he did what he was supposed to do, got the job done, and proved why he is the best pool player in North Carolina, maybe in the Southeast, with the exception of Josh Roberts out there.
Maybe other than the 2 guys at the top of the country, he could be better than everybody else.
I will say this, even though shaking hands doesn't bother me, it might bother the people who made the decision for Moscone Cup. And when they realize he's not so polite when he loses, that might affect him.
Yeah, but
people remember those things.
He's not putting it in their hands this year, though. He's finishing top whatever in points to make sure he gets there.
I hope he does. He's absolutely talented enough to play in that event.
Well, I mean, but you never know. Maybe another guy defers to America halfway through the year again.
Come on, Eklund. You can come play for us.
Yeah, I mean, you never know. Just saying.
We'll take you, Filler, and your wife.
We're the home. We're America. We'll take anybody over here nowadays. So yeah, it's great. It's wonderful.
But we still can't win.
Yeah, well, no, yeah. There's 20 Europeans they can choose from that can beat any of our 5. It's not even close.
That's because we need to start shopping in the Philippines. Come on over, Chua.
Yeah. But guys, that's our final 16. That's the top 16 players of the Smokin Q 30th anniversary. I'm going to read them off one more time. BJ Ustery, Tommy Kennedy, Renal Bott, Johnny Archer, Shannon Fitch, Mike Davis, Josh Heater, Clint Clark, Josh Padrone, Adam Penley, Liam Wynn, Nathan Childress, Clay Davis, Jeff Abernathy, Hunter White, Bobby Isaac. That's a super strong list of players. I'm going to read off 3 really quick that I thought would be there. Then I'll let you guys very quickly say if you agree or disagree.
Perfect.
The 3 that I thought maybe could cash that didn't were Vandy Santos, Eddie Little, and Scott Roberts. I think those are 3 that I would have predicted to be top 16. They weren't there. Tough draws. I mean, who do you take out to put them there? I have no idea. But Pat, is there anybody that you thought maybe that could have cashed that didn't?
David Anderson.
Yeah,
Hmm.
one of the few 700 Fargo guys that didn't cash.
Right, one of the few. And I guess with as many 700 Fargos that we had on the roster, somebody had to be left out. But
I got one.
definitely David Anderson. I don't know that I would say either of the other three. You said Scott Roberts, Eddie Little, and Vandy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you might be able to swap them out with somebody else in that 13 through 16, maybe even 9 through 12 as well. Maybe
Yeah.
somewhere right around there, give or take. But it's not a surprise to me. I wouldn't say that I would have picked any of them to make it to day two. Definitely David Anderson is a surprise for me. I felt for sure he would be in day two.
Gotcha. Him
For
and Scott
sure.
were the only 700 Fargo guys that didn't make it to day two. So I guess you could definitely throw David in there. Brandon, what do you think? You got three?
Okay. So
got
I
one?
basically got what you have, and I'm gonna add one to it.
Okay.
Greg Taylor.
Yeah, Greg Taylor. Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
He had a bad bracket.
Yeah, he had a tough draw. I mean, he lost to Shannon Fitch and then lost to Scott Roberts. That's a pretty tough draw for sure. Speaking of tough draws.
Well, Scott wouldn't have been there if you didn't put him in the B.
Well, that's why I was going to say, let's go ahead and talk about some other tough draws, such as mine and yours, Brandon. We'll start with you.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Brandon Mullis finishing 33rd to 48th. Here's how your tournament went. You beat Jacob Hyatt 7-1. You lost to Chris Turner 7-2. You lost to Clint Clark 7-0. Good job beating Jacob Hyatt.
Thank you.
Especially as bad as you did. I think that's a very good win for you. Chris Turner was playing very well, and Clint Clark, well, he was just demolishing everybody. Pat, what do you think?
There was just nothing.
Yeah, Pat, what do you think about Brandon's three matches there?
I think it went exactly how it was supposed to go.
Yeah, I think the scores could have been a little different, but I think the win losses were probably right.
I was just going to say against, at least against Chris Turner, I thought they would have been a lot closer to, than 7-2. So I would love to hear your thoughts on how that match went. But like you said, against Clint Clark, like he was on fire. Like he was already in a high gear. Maybe I think you still get a couple of racks out of that match at least. You know, I don't think it's ever supposed to be 7-0. I don't think there's very few people that you don't get a rack against.
Well, it's
alternating
break. I expect Brandon to get at least one rack every match.
Right. And a player like Brandon, he's extremely capable of a break and run, as hard as it may be in a tournament landscape. But very few people that should ever be able to 7-0 Brandon. But yeah, I thought that at least those two matches should have been a little bit closer. And how dare you let Jacob Hyatt get a rack off of you? That kid was trying to steal my French fries.
So mad. You know why? Because all right, so after that match, I had as high confidence as anybody. I had two breaking runs, numerous run outs off of his mistakes. I mean, I was playing some good pool. I didn't even think about my opponent. I didn't care that he was 11 years old. A lick. I just went in there shooting pool and playing my game, and I played very well. I was up 2-1 on Chris Turner, and I handed him 3 9-balls. Just handed it to him like cake. And then and scratched on an 8. I mean, I handed him 3 to 4 games. I mean,
wow.
Chris played well. I mean, the racks that he did run and win, he did do well. I mean, he's a good player. I mean, he would definitely be favored over me. You know, it's a winnable match for me, and that could have been a winnable match if I had just stayed focused. That's obviously on me. Things I got to learn to do better in these bigger events. And then, I mean, it wasn't that long before that I went hill with Clint Clark. But no, Clint was just absolutely on fire, and I didn't get a decent shot at the rack until the 5th game. I mean, I know I'm alternating break, and I scratched twice. I mean, I pretty much handed him the first 3 to 4 games. I'm not making excuses to me because Clint played incredible. I mean, he was running out left and right. He had a number of breaking runs, had a few early 9s. But, I mean, the match was over quickly. I mean, even if I had taken advantage of my 1 to 2 opportunities I got, it wouldn't have made a difference. Clint was on a mission.
Yeah.
And sometimes
you're right. It was over quick. 27 minutes.
Was it 20? There's no way it was 20. Then it was reported late because I'm telling you, it felt like 20 or less.
It's reported late.
I mean, that's not even 4 minutes a rack. That's pretty. That is pretty.
Well, Clint can run out a rack in 38 seconds. I feel like.
Oh, for sure.
But I mean, this was as much as I respect my own game, and I know, and I feel like I want to try to get as good as I can before I can ever play one day. I felt like this was not a this was a bad bracket for me, which most of the brackets would have been for me. But no, those guys played well, and hey, there's always the next one.
That's right. That's right. There's always the next one. There's always
Hey,
a
eight
30
balls this Saturday. You never know. I mean, I'm due for a cash.
That's right.
Just letting you all know.
That's right. Let's move on to Justin Clark's tournament
Ooh.
run, 17th to 24th. His matches went like this. He beat Scott Roberts 7-6, beat Miranda Hook 7-3, lost to Renal Bot 7-4, lost to Liam Wynn 7-5. Brandon, what's your thoughts on those 4 matchups there?
Well, I definitely feel like you're supposed to beat Miranda. That's not a slight, but I definitely feel like that. Good win on Scott Roberts. You were okay, so you were behind our stream match because we were calling I don't remember. I don't
Tommy
remember.
and
Tommy and
yeah.
Jeff Pate. We were calling that match. And you had a good sized lead, didn't you? Didn't Scott make a comeback? Or were y'all nip and tuck the whole
It was
way?
like 1 or 2 games the whole time.
It was
I think
nip and tuck the
it was
whole
like
way.
3-1, like maybe I think 5-3 maybe.
Either way, 98% of people are going to favor Scott in that match. So great shooting, dude. Great. I mean, you have the capability to beat a player like that. So I'm not going to act surprised. Either way, you still beat the favored player, which is strong, dude. And then to lose to Renal, there's nothing wrong with that. And then obviously, now that I know what Liam Wynn really is, okay, I will release to Renal, but I'm not going to automatically say that I think Liam is better than you. I think y'all are absolutely on the same plane, but to lose to him is no shame either. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because, like I said, I don't think he's necessarily better than you. It was just his day.
Pat, what do you think about Justin's 4 matches?
Don't you just hate when people talk about themselves in the third person, Brandon? Doesn't it just grind your gears?
Brandon is not paying attention to you. He's listening to the question about Justin. So Brandon would like for you to continue.
I mean, Brandon, you summed it up perfectly. I think it's huge that you beat Scott Roberts. I think that synopsis is spot on. You have everything in your arsenal that makes you capable of beating somebody at that level. And the fact that you beat him on the hill, I think, makes it that much more special because I think hill is always some extra pressure. Anytime we always wanted to go hill, and when it does, we want to be the guy who comes out on top. You're supposed to beat Miranda. You always have problems playing your friends. I think we talk about this just about every podcast. It seems like we always end up playing each other, or you end up playing Clay, you end up playing Renal, you end up playing Brandon, you end up playing Rico. And whether you win or lose, it's usually close, because you always say you have trouble playing your buddies. And that plus the way that Renal was playing all day, it doesn't surprise me that he ended up taking that match. And that's a spot on assessment. I think that day it was Liam's day, but if it's your day, I think that you may even beat Liam a little bit worse. And that's not a slight to Liam. I think your high gear is higher than Liam's high gear. So if it were your day and you were on, I think you may end up beating him like maybe 7-4, 7-3. Versus him taking it to you 7-5. But if we remember and go back to what his run was like, he had a phenomenal day and a phenomenal tournament as well. So he was definitely shooting super, super well. But the fact that you did what you did and you always do what you do while running an entire tournament, especially one as big as the 30th anniversary, you had a lot of pressure going into all of these matches. So, bro, hats off to you, man.
Yeah, I think Brandon said earlier that you don't really remember the matches you won, and honestly, I can probably name you maybe one shot I made against Scott. He gave me a bunch of games. He honestly should have won that match. He made a couple late mistakes, but I made a great 2-ball shot the last rack. Other than that, I could not tell you a single thing about that match. It's just a blur. Like, it's one of those where, okay, cool, I won, let's move on. Miranda, fun match. I was glad that she came up from like the Aiken area to come and play. She's definitely trying to get better, and she really don't play bad. We played on a Brunswick. She was like, "Oh man, I haven't really played on these. I'm used to the diamonds." So you could kind of tell she misplayed a couple balls. My match with Renal, I felt like was probably the best match I played all day, and it just wasn't good enough. I missed 1 7 ball. It was literally the only ball I missed the whole match. He also missed 1 ball the whole match. The difference was he 2-rail kicked in a ball and ran out. That was pretty much the match. I mean, you know, if I win that game, it's 6-5 instead of 7-4. Would have been my break. Could have been Hill, who knows? But yeah, we each had 2 breaking runs. We each played really well. That was just a great match. And, you know, I mean, I missed 1 ball. I mean, that's the difference. You know, I mean, let's say I make that ball too, maybe I win the match. But, and then against Liam, very weird match. I draw break twice. He misses 2 balls and hooks me. He's up 4-0. And it's like, okay, what's happened here? And, yeah, I mean, I tried to make a comeback and, you know, 7-5, he lucked in a ball and then had a great run out from there. I mean, more power to Liam. He played great the whole weekend. I'm always happy for the dude. He's an awesome guy. I was glad that he made it as far as he did, and I was glad I was one of the few good players that he beat, because he beat a few good players. So good job, Liam. Like I said, I hope it's a stepping stone and not just you know, like a new spot. You know what I mean? Like, well, I don't know what it's called, you know, when it goes like that, you know, but I want it to go like this. Does that make sense at all?
Yes,
Okay.
makes perfect sense.
Okay. So that sums up our tournaments. Pat, sadly, you did not get to play. Hopefully, you get to play next year in the big one. We'll make sure it happens. But let's go through.
Cancel all my plans.
Yes. Let's go through, though, and talk about some of the stream matches here really quick. We have 15 matches on the stream, and we can kind of hit on them a little bit here. We don't know we need to go into really big detail. I think we've kind of already talked about every match, kind of, sort of. But we'll just kind of mention what we have. That way, you know, for y'all that are watching or listening, you can kind of know what to expect when you go to our YouTube channel, the Pool Series, and you can see what's going on over there, because all these matches will be up soon. Some of them are already up. But first round, we started off with 2 bangers, I think. First was Tommy Kennedy and Jeff Pate. Tommy wins 7-1. And then naturally, and I told him he was going to be on the stream table first round. I don't think he believed me, but as the man in charge, I get to choose who's on the stream table. And as the man who has ran Smokin' Q for the majority of the 30 years, he deserved to be on the stream. And that was Matt Riggs, who was up 3-0 on Johnny Archer. Sadly lost 7-3. But those 2 matchups, I think that's a great first round. Those are 2 great matches to have. Pat, what do you think about those? Right away, you get to see Tommy Kennedy for the first time. Right away, you get to see Matt Riggs, the owner of Smokin' Q, play. You know, were you impressed by him? And what were your thoughts on those 2 matchups?
I haven't seen him. I was playing kickball that day or streaming it. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. You weren't there. I thought maybe. Yeah, my bad. Let's move on to Brandon then. I forgot you weren't there quite yet. You weren't there.
I was not.
Yet.
I wasn't playing kickball. I was on the call for TK. Yeah, I'm going to you too. I was on the call for TK and the Pate, the Great, the Jeff. And
does he still get that nickname after losing 7-1 on the stream?
Of course.
Okay.
It was Tommy Kennedy.
If
he had lost to me like that, then we'd have to talk. But it was TK.
Hey,
so
Jeff.
No, I'm not holding that. However, Jeff.
I'm just saying Jeff's in my MySpace top 8, so I gotta throw something out there to make fun of him a little bit.
You just said MySpace.
Have we moved on from that yet?
A little bit.
Oh, my bad.
Love that. Anyway, okay, so that match was actually funny because in the very first 2 and 3 racks between the 2, there were some nerves and some jitters. Like they were both really. Tommy had a break and run going actually until the 7. He dogged the 7. I mean, go back and watch the match. It's definitely there. And then Pate with an opportunity makes a great shot, but he 3-rail scratches the 7, doesn't make him shoot the 8 and 9. And then, I mean, the score was 7-1, but it was a very deceptive 7-1. Like it was not okay. No question, Tommy's worst match of the day, and it was still 7-1 over Pate. He didn't play that well. Pate just did not bring his game for that match. And like I said, he's an honest guy. He'll tell you himself. Okay, so as far as the Matt and Johnny match, I did go back and catch that on Facebook. That was fun. You know what? When it was 3-0, I'm like, man, I've seen some weird stuff in pool. I want to see some more. But then Johnny resumed to being the Scorpion. At least
I don't think I've ever,
time.
Since we've been running these tournaments, I don't think I've ever cheered for somebody as hard as I did when Matt was up 3-0.
I'm sure.
Like at that point, not only did I want Matt to win, I wanted it to be 7-0. And that's nothing against Johnny. How awesome would it be to see the guy that owns the pool hall win
Just house a Hall of
Yeah,
Famer.
and that's it's perfect that he plays a Hall of Famer first round too. Like that is just great. Like it was meant to be because then Matt loses that match, goes to the loser side, plays Joey Lowe, and if you know Joey's dad, he was one of the first like 5 or 6 customers when Smokin' Q first opened. So I was like, Matt, this was meant to be. You play a world champion, and then you play the son of one of your first customers. It's meant to be that way. So I thought the pool gods were on our side there. Second round, Pat, were you there for the second round matchups yet? When did you come in?
I got there like 6 o'clock, 5:30.
Okay, well, you just tell me if you were there for these matches. Second round, this is the first big match of the day. This is the first big match of the day. Mike Davis, Nathan Childress. Mike beats him 7-5. That was the first big matchup of the day. And then we followed up with another big matchup. Shannon Fitch and Greg Taylor. Shannon winning 7-3. Pat, were you there for either one of those? No, I don't think so. Okay, so Brandon, what do you think about those two matchups, man?
Well, I was on the call. Okay, so the first one was, forgive me, I'm sorry.
Mike Davis.
Mike Davis and Nathan
And it's
Childress.
crazy that one of those goes to the loser side
Pro
right
pool
away.
is just such a cruel sport.
With the random draw brackets like we do, it's tough.
It's a brutal sport at times. It is not fair. It doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't care how good you are. It's just how it works. And believe it or not, as good as Nathan Childress is, I still think the better player won. I mean, just Mike Davis just finds a way to grind out wins. And I was calling the Greg Taylor and Shannon Fitch match until I had to go get punched in the face by Chris Turner. So once that happened, Shannon was up 4-2, and Greg had missed a few easy balls, but Shannon was playing well too. He was getting out of everything. So, I mean, the better player won there too. I'm not surprised Shannon beat Greg. I mean, Greg has the type of game that can really be a pain in someone like Shannon's rear end, big time, because Greg's a really good player. Just more proof on how cruel and unusual punishment pro pool is. But Shannon he played great in the whole tournament, so I wasn't surprised to see that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when Nathan lost to Mike, I really thought Nathan would just grind through the loser side and make it all the way back to the final four. Yeah. But it's crazy that's a second round matchup. I mean, to have one of those guys go to the loser side so quick is kind of sad. And Greg, I'm not sure. Are we going to see Greg play to his full potential in Charlotte? We've seen her twice now, and both times I feel like he just hasn't. I know this time he had a tough draw, obviously, but I'm waiting for that moment where he comes in and just runs through one of our tournaments and just walks out with the trophy because he's definitely capable of. But yeah, both those were really good match. Every match we have on these stream are top notch. At least 4.5 stars. I'm giving every match at least 4.5 stars. Third round, a little upset of a match here. Not an upset as in who won, but like I don't think we expected one of these guys to be here. Third round winner side maybe. Joe Hyatt Jr., the kid, playing Tommy Kennedy. Tommy wins 7-2, but good for Joe for making it that far. And then we get what I think is a fantastic match. Adam Penley, Josh Padron, 7-5 Adam. That was actually an epic match, I feel like. And yeah, that was a lot of fun. Pat, I'm pretty sure you were here at this point.
I was there now. I was in the building.
So go ahead and chime in on those two matchups then.
I was ordering salad, didn't watch. I'm just kidding. I watched both of them. So I think that was you said Tommy Kennedy, Joe Hyatt?
Yep.
First one, yeah, that was my first introduction to Tommy Kennedy, man. And it was just a really fun one to watch and really learn who he is on the table. Shouts out to Joe for getting 2 racks on him, man. That kid can play. That kid can play. He's going to be a problem in the next 5 years. He's going to be a problem.
Both the Hyatt kids can play pretty well.
Yeah, that little one. Yeah. That little one's something serious, man. That little one is something scary good. The big brother is good. Don't get me wrong, but that little one is like, you know what they remind me of? They remind me of the Ball brothers. And when LeVar Ball was telling everybody like, oh yeah, Jello, he's gonna go to the league. Lonzo, they're gonna go to the league. Melo, the best one. And you see LaMelo get to the Hornets, and he is the best out of all of his brothers. I feel like that's the little one. I feel like Jacob is that guy. I feel like he's going to be the one that he's going to, sky's the limit for both of them, but super fun match. And then the second match, what was it again?
Adam Penley and Josh Padron.
That might have been. Ooh, that's
my
probably
favorite.
top 3 matches.
Yeah, that's my favorite from day one for sure.
Yeah, that's probably for me top 3 matches out of all of them, and that's really hard to say, but definitely day one, that might be my favorite match from day one. Being introduced to both of those players, especially Adam Penley, I did not know how good that kid was until he was put into a game time situation. And that boy, he is like, when you go to Publix and you got to make it like a nice pot of soup. And okay, thanks, Justin. You got to make a nice pot of soup, and you go over there to the produce section, and you just see like the wall of raw, fresh vegetables. That's Adam Penley. You know what I mean? Just nutrients.
He's
He's
been
good.
You have
His game. You know how we talked about like his game. You know how we talked about like his game, like he's just got like super raw talent. That's how I feel like his game is. He's the Publix produce section, man. And he's got to go home and just saute his game and refine it and just get a little bit of tenderness to it. And he's going to like. Yeah, as soon as I said vegetables, Justin was like, all right, I don't even know what this guy's talking about. That was probably some of the best pull on that happened on day one between Padron and Adam Penley. They were going back and forth. And I think in that moment, the better player did end up winning with Adam. I think Adam is the better player between those two, respectfully to Padron. He's right there. Just like you said earlier with Brandon and Liam, they're on the same plane. I think it was Adams. It was definitely Adams' moment and Adams' day.
Agreed, 100%. Brian, what do you think about those two matchups?
I did not watch the Adam and Josh match, but everything you're saying, I can imagine by watching both of their games. I'm gonna have to go back and rewatch that just for personal entertainment.
That's good.
So I mean, because I know how good Adam can play. After I talk about Joe, Pat, I'll plug in a quick funny story about Adam, and we'll move on. Joe's gonna be an absolute animal. 17 years old. I was actually calling his match with his little brother at the time, and I asked him who plays better. Jacob said he plays better on 7 foots, but Joe plays better on 9 foots.
Well, Jacob can't even. He's not even like he can't reach half the table.
You can't use that because you're not going to take away from my first round victory like that, Justin.
I told you 7-1 is really good against him.
Hey, I'm going with it.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think it was a great experience for Joe Hyatt to play a guy like Tommy Kennedy because Joe at this age, as long as he stays smart and he practices and his parents keep him grounded and he stays out of the garbage part of this game, okay, which trust me, it's out there and it's never going anywhere. There's a garbage part of this game. He could be that guy. He could in 10 years, we could be watching him in majors. I mean, he has that type of capability. They both do. They seriously both do. And you might be right about your LaMelo, topic there. That was actually a good analogy and it made a lot of sense. So, I mean, they both are going to go far. But no, Joe and the two, I'm going to give him credit. Joe and the 2 racks that he got was actually played the racks very well. He just gave in the racks that weren't those. He just gave up too many opportunities to a player like Tommy. That's why it was 7-2. So, the Adam Penley, real quick. 14 years old. My buddy, we went to Smoky Mountain Shootout. Adam's 14 years old. My buddy was probably, I would have ranked, Fargo didn't exist then, but I would have put him between 550 and 600 roughly. Adam at 14 years old gave him the 7 in the last 2, playing 9-ball in a bar box at 20 a game, and $580 later, my buddy quit. Adam was 14.
He's been good his whole life.
Yeah. Oh, he really has. And yeah, by the way, he has a brother that's not that far away from his skill set either.
Yeah, Marcus. Yeah,
Yes.
He played in our very first event that we did last year. Yeah, I think he was one out of the money in that. He played on the street.
He's a good player.
Yeah.
He's not quite as good as Adam, but he's good.
Do y'all remember? Brandon might remember. Remember that show? What was it? Man, I don't. It had the guy, and he was like, "Have you seen? There's like a missing person." It was like, "Have you seen so and so?
Seen this boy?"
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Terminator?
No, like the show. Like there was like a TV show back in the day. Anyways, can we get something about that on LiAngelo Ball or whatever his name is? Like, whatever happened to that guy? Like, is he still in Chinese prison?
Talking about?
Whatever happened to LiAngelo Ball?
This is going like his vegetable reference here a few minutes ago.
I just want to know what happened to LiAngelo Ball or whatever his name is. Where is he?
I think
Probably
he's playing in the G League.
Slovakia.
I think he's either playing in the G League or he's playing overseas right now.
When
So
Luka, when
he's still
Luka got
balling.
drafted, he took his spot. That's where he went.
Man,
I'm
that's-
telling you. When Luka came to the U.S., they traded for Liang.
Like I'd not thought about him in years until Pat mentioned him a little bit ago. Now I'm like, and just like whatever happened to this guy. Um, let's move on to the last two matchups of day one. They were loser side matchups. We had Joe Hyatt again on the stream table, this time playing Nathan Childress. Nathan pulls out the 7-3 win. Tough draw for Joe. Tough way to end the tournament for him. And then we get Clay Davis versus Chris Turner. Clay wins Hill. Definitely, possibly in consideration for the best match of day one also. Chris had his chances to win, didn't capitalize, had Clay possibly on the ropes. Clay got that momentum going, got that confidence going. 3 fouls, Chris, I think, to get on the hill. And then Clay wins. And I think that was also a very solid match. Brandon, what did you think about
best ending of the entire tournament?
Yeah.
Just, okay, first off, Chris had been winning the entire match. Clay didn't have a lead until 7-6.
Yeah.
I mean, I called that match. I was like, okay, I'm sitting there thinking Clay is going to lose because he didn't play well, but he played just well enough to nip and tuck and keep himself within a rack or two. And then Chris fouls him, basically fouled himself twice and left a wall there for Clay to pretty much screw him. I mean, if any of us could have done it. 3 fouls him out, breaks and runs.
Right.
The best ending of the whole day.
Yeah,
and it was a perfect break and run.
Yeah.
It never seemed like at any point Clay was really comfortable. He was like comfortable and confident in spurts. And when he was comfortable and confident, that's when he was playing, that's when he was playing his game and he was winning racks. But he never seemed to like be able to get settled in.
He was aggravated. Because he was missing a lot of shots in the first two. I mean, Clay honestly could have been up 4 to 5 to 1.
Yeah, he should have been.
He really could have been. And then he just kept blowing chances and giving Chris games. I mean, you're just giving him games. Yeah. But he kept nipping and tucking enough just to keep it 1 to 2 racks. And in the end, like I say, he didn't lead until it was over.
Chris played really good though. I was glad to see Chris play. I hope he plays in more of our tournaments. Pat, what did you think about those two matchups, man, to end day one?
Yeah, I mean, the first one, it is what it is. Shouts out to the Hyatt brothers. But yeah, Clay, I think just watching him play throughout the entire tournament, he never just really seemed to settle in. He kind of settled in spurts. He had some confidence in spurts. And when he was confident, he played extremely well. Like he seemed like Chacho, you know what I mean? But yeah, he had his chances. And then to your point, Brandon, he was just missing a lot of shots. That's a lot of shots that you normally would not see him miss. Like he should have been out a lot more times than what he was. So like you said, it should have been a lot further away, like 4-1, 5-1, instead of as close as it was in those matches.
I mean, it's tough on Clay too to help, run in the tournament and all the stuff that he does on scenes too. So it just tells you how good of a player he is, and it makes you wonder what he can do in the tournament that he's not also running. So let's go to day two, and this is where every match from here is just fantastic. I feel like I don't think there was a bad match on day two. We'll start off with the fourth round of the winner's side, final 8 winner's side, so to speak. We had Johnny Archer, Mike Davis. Johnny Archer wins 7-4. I feel like maybe a little bit of an upset, but I don't think Mike played his best in this match. I really don't. I think it was a great match, though. I don't think Mike played as well as he could have. And I'm going to say it's a little bit of an upset. I think Mike's probably favored to win that right now. Pat, what do you think?
I agree. I think Mike was definitely favored to win that match. I don't think it was I don't know. I think you'd have to be a really big fan of Johnny Archer to pick him over Mike Davis. I think you might be choosing him more with your heart than what you might see in front of you. But I think that's also a testament to how well he was playing in day two as well, as far as he went. So it was, but to your point, like to start off the day with that, and I'm so glad I argued for that match and fought for that match to be on the TV table. It was still a fantastic match to watch. And it kind of goes back to my point where I thought that Mike Davis would end his tournament a lot higher on that depth chart rather than 5th, 6th. But hey, man, Scorpion was playing well. What can you do? And Mike wasn't playing nearly at his best as well.
No, it was not. Absolutely not. Brandon, what do you think about that match?
Perfect assessment. It pretty much sums it up. Yeah, Mike's definitely favored, but I mean, Johnny's the type of player, if you make a mistake or two against him, he's going to absolutely crush you. I mean, that's exactly what he did. He built a lead and he kept it. What the final score was, 7-4.
7-4.
Yeah. I mean, Johnny just took advantage of mistakes early and kept going. So, but I mean, yeah, it wasn't Mike's best match. I mean, he'll be the first to tell you.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, man, it's pretty
And
self-explanatory.
there's one thing I've learned about Mike too is he always struggles that first match of day 2. I don't know why, but I've noticed that about him in any of the bigger tournaments that when you come back in day 2, he struggles that first round.
Absolutely.
Let's move on now to the Final Four winner side. 2 fantastic matches, and I said from the very beginning that there would be one player that is kind of a surprise, and we got that kind of surprise player, and that was Ronald Bott, who beats Johnny Archer 7-6 in a match that I think Ronald is probably supposed to win. And then we get Tommy Kennedy beating BJ Usry 7-5. Obviously, that was a preview of the finals, but what a fantastic match. Possibly the 2 best players in the tournament playing. Wow, what a Final Four, man. What a Final Four. And what we got was what we had hoped for, which is 2 fantastic matches, one Hill and one very close to being Hill. And I personally almost feel like the Tommy and BJ match was better than the Ronald and Johnny match. Just that Ronald and Johnny had the Hill thriller. I feel like
I don't know.
I don't know. I really enjoyed the BJ and Tommy match. I think it was better played. I feel like it was better played. Ronald just has that little bit of you have that the sense of that match of can Ronald pull it out.
Yes.
You don't have that in the BJ and Tommy. Like there's no that excitement was more in the Ronald match than it was in the BJ match. But I think if you really sit down and study the matchups, I think BJ and Tommy was the better match. And Pat, we'll just start with you, man. What do you think about the Final Four winner side?
That's what a Final Four winner side is supposed to be.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Those were 2 huge blockbuster matches that we were all privileged to be able to sit there and watch play out. I would say that the Tommy Kennedy versus BJ Usry I would say it's definitely an upset. Considering who BJ is and how well he consistently plays, he's supposed to win those. He's supposed to win that match twice, right? The fact that he didn't and the way that he lost, I think, added to the drama and made the event as well as that match that much more exciting. So it makes sense to what you're saying, as well as, I'm going to have to go back and really watch that match again, to your point, to really study it and see more of your side about how you feel that that's the best match. The Ronald versus Johnny Archer is match of the tournament. That match was the match of the tournament for me. It had, for me, everything that you needed for a great match. You had a legend versus the local underdog in some people's eyes, right? I know, Justin, and some people may also agree that today's Ronald is supposed to be today's Johnny Archer, right? Forget the Fargos. I am not of that boat. Okay. I'm not of that boat, especially after I've seen what Johnny Archer can do. That to me was a match. It goes hill. Ronald plays a fantastic defense versus, I think, 9 out of 10 times he shoots that 9 ball. He shoots that 9 ball for the corner. I think 9 times out of 10 he does. I think he shoots for that 9 ball in the corner rather than playing the defense that he did, and it rattles and he just lays it up for the opponent and ends up losing. But he played the right shot, played a perfect defense. And then Johnny, rather than going for a defense himself, he tries to basically bank it back into the bottom left-hand corner and then ended up scratching. Was that what it was?
Yes.
Yeah.
Bro, goes hill. Ronald punches his ticket. Match of the tournament, man. The drama, the way that it all built up to go into, because did Ronald have to fight back in that one as well? Wasn't he down a little bit?
No, he
was that not it?
Winning.
He should have won like 7-4.
Was he winning?
Yeah.
And Johnny came back. Okay, I'm mixing it up then. Either way, match of the tournament for me, Ronald versus Johnny Archer. But if anybody wants to argue that Tommy Kennedy and BJ is the match of the tournament or the better match, I can't say that they're wrong. I just have my viewpoints on the other one.
Brandon, what you thinking, man?
I got so many thoughts I'm ready to jump in and chomp on. Okay, let's ride. I'll keep it quick though. I do see Justin's point though about the quality of the pool. However, I do have a point that may counteract that. Ronaldo did have 3 breaking runs in a row. I mean, he had 3 breaking runs in a row, and Johnny had at least 1. But either way, it really didn't nip tuck until the end. They were both fire. I mean, they were both hitting the balls great. I think the drama and the even though he says now I'm actually going to piggyback off his point about 2024 Renault versus 2024 Johnny. I actually agree with him at Smokin' Q.
No.
You get him on another table. I don't know if I quite agree with him, but I'm not going to firmly disagree with him either because Johnny's not the Johnny that we remember from the 90s. I mean, it's
Yeah,
just facts. It's just not.
Yeah, I'm gonna throw that out there too. Yeah, Ronaldo definitely needs to hurry up and get that off his back. He needs to go somewhere else and play for a little bit
But
and win something somewhere else because he is definitely getting to be known as the guy that plays great at Smokin' Q. But if you can play him somewhere else, you can win.
it may very well be the case. Well, trust me, I think those days are coming. He's too good of a player. The drama behind seeing the local boy who's really up and coming, who's really becoming just a great staple in the billiard community, play against a Hall of Famer, U.S. Open, World Nine Ball, plus the hundreds of other majors, or not majors, but tourneys he's won, was one of the, I mean, I will never forget this as long as I live. And by far, my favorite match of the pool series, period. On the call, at least, on the call to watch how that unfolded. Now, I know y'all say he should have shot it. I think he made the right play because of because of how tense that moment was. We're all sitting there thinking, "Oh my gosh, he's gonna freaking do it. He is gonna beat the big bad wolf right here on this table." And then he comes up extremely short. You know, he was running out that hill rack because Johnny scratched earlier in the rack. And then he was running out and he got really short on that 9. Because of the tensity of that, because of how tense that moment is, that safety he did was perfect. And I'm going to say it. I don't care. I had no clue what Johnny was doing on that 9 ball. None. Like, I mean, we're all sitting there thinking, okay,
He didn't
our
either.
first assumption was he's going to try to safe back. That was our
Right.
first assumption. And
Right.
when you're that far apart with a cue ball frozen to the rail, it's hard to safe back. You usually got to shoot it. I thought maybe he would try a normal bank and hopefully got a good roll if it misses. I have no clue what that 3-rail kick was. Or not kick, but that 3-rail bank where the cue ball went 3 rails and bang, went right, I mean, dead in the corner. And the 9
So,
ball hardly did anything.
Brad, I do
This
want to
was
say, I
a
want to
horrible
clarify.
ending to a great match, if I may say. A horrible ending to a great match.
And I'm sorry, I did want to say that I do agree with the defense from Renault. I was just saying that I think in any other situation, he probably shoots at that ball versus playing the defense that he did. But I 100% agree that the defense was the right play, whether he landed it perfectly or not, which he played a perfect defense in that situation. Yeah. I agree with the defense. And yeah, that the bank, I think Johnny just hit it way too thick. It was just a bad shot at the bank, at the cross bank to come back down to the bottom left-hand corner. He had the right angle. I think he just hit it way too freaking thick, man.
Well, he also didn't call it. Or at least I didn't
Yeah, he
catch it
called
on.
it.
Oh, he did call it.
He did
Okay,
not.
I must have missed that in the stream. But
I didn't see him call it.
either way,
No, he called it. Yeah, he called it for sure. Yeah.
I mean, I believe Johnny would call it. I just obviously missed it.
I
But
don't know.
no, to me personally, being on the call, I mean, the emotion of that whole thing, you know, to me, that's my absolute favorite match I've ever called in the pool series. And I'm gonna stick with it.
I would have liked to have seen Ronaldo go for it. I think you win 100% of the time if you make that 9 ball. I'm just saying. You know,
So
like
that was a more
you,
acute
you
cut
don't
than people think.
you don't lose if you make it. That's all I'm saying. That safety,
But
you know, at
what's
best it's
I don't think you're favored to make it though.
what's
That
the
cut was really
conversation that we
quick.
have if he goes for the shot and it rattles? If he goes for the shot and he hangs it up,
You're a
what do we
donkey.
what do we say then? We're gonna be sitting
I'm just
all in front of these
Donkey.
cameras and saying that he dogged it and he should have played safe. Why
I just
didn't he
want
play safe?
all right, well, you go find a way to ask the 3 best players in the world if they go for that ball. They'll all say yes.
They might.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'm on
Yeah.
a mission now.
Yeah.
I'm on a mission.
Yeah.
They call
I'm
Shane real quick.
Fedor's an American now, so he probably has an email address somewhere. You know what? I'm gonna talk.
I mean, the three best rotation players in the world live in America right now.
Filler doesn't. Oh, does Filler live here now?
Are we counting Filler? I was still counting Jason Shaw.
Yeah, I'm going to count the highest Fargo in the world. Yes, I'm
Well-
definitely going to count that guy.
Well, Anyways, let's move on then to the 5th, 6th place match. We had Johnny Archer beating Shannon Fitch 7-6. I think another epic matchup. I honestly thought Shannon was going to win this for a second. I think Johnny's supposed to win, but I thought Shannon was going to win there for a second. Brandon, what do you think?
You're right.
Yeah.
He had a chance in the Hill game and he missed.
I've seen Shannon beat some top pros
Sure.
before, so this was.
Beat Johnny before. Didn't he beat Shane? I think he beat Shane in a tourney.
It wouldn't surprise me. if
Yeah,
he did.
no, I mean, I know he did. He beat Shane in a race of 7 in some tourney in Tennessee, I think. So, I mean, that was years ago. But either way, yeah, I was sad for Shannon. I mean, I like Shannon. He's a super cool guy. Glad he came up from Florida. I would have loved to have seen him win the match. I'm a fan of Johnny, but I've known I actually know Shannon personally, so it would have been cool to see him win that. Sometimes your mind. I mean, it only takes 0.1% losing focus to miss a shot. And that's what, especially when you've been playing pool nonstop for 2 solid days.
Yeah, it was the only mistake I've probably seen him make in 20 years. It was shocking almost.
So, I mean, no, I mean, Shannon had and that was a great match. I mean, they both played high level pool. I mean, it was fun to watch and fun to call.
Absolutely. Pat, what do you think about Shannon and Johnny playing?
Oh, that's a perfect summary. I don't have really anything to add to that. Great match.
Perfect. Well, let's move on. Well, yeah, we'll move on to the hot seat match then. Tommy Kennedy, Renal Bott. Tommy wins 7-3. I think Renal at this point was kind of done. Maybe mentally he had accomplished what he wanted. Also, I think he finally played a player that was better than him. And it felt like Tommy was just still going strong. He was not losing any he was still going 75 miles an hour. There was no slowing down for him. Pat, what do you think, man, about the hot seat match?
Yeah. I remember a while ago, I can't remember who it was that I beat. It might have been at Irish Q when beat Eddie Little. And then Brandon told me, he said, all right, now be careful. Usually what happens is after you have a really big victory like this, you come in your next match and you dog it because you're still on that emotional high. And that's exactly what happened to me. I think what you just said, Justin, is exactly that. It seemed like after that Johnny Archer match, it was kind of like a big sigh of relief because he definitely had chances to win the match against Tommy. It wasn't like it was just, that he never had a shot. Tommy was playing perfect defense. When all came to the table, he was only, kicking around and things like that. There was definitely some defensive battling that took place, but he had his opportunities. But it seemed like at that point he was spent, especially mentally. There was a lot of negative body language that was happening throughout that match. But Tommy seemed fresh. It seemed like it was the first round for him. Especially mentally, he was still very happy being himself. That's why I keep saying yes, because he was just being that guy. He was just being himself and just enjoying the moment, enjoying being there. I think at one point, even Renal started to kind of go off into the back corner and sit when he would miss shots that he knew he shouldn't have missed, or when he was playing poor defense. He just seemed very mentally checked out at that point. Like he was just kind of exhausted and done with the whole thing. Like he wanted to win. He wanted to be there, but he just couldn't pull it back together. He couldn't get back to that gear that he was playing in before.
Agreed, 100%. Brandon, what do you think about the hot seat match?
These are the woes you have to go through if you're going to play this game at a high level. And I mean, trust me, there's multiple interpretations of high level. Like Justin and I are high level players, but we're not their high level. Does that make sense? You're going to play pool at a high level. These are the learning experiences you have to go through. And that's why I think it's going to help him. I mean, we've watched him beat BJ. We've watched him beat Archer. He played Shaw tough. I mean, it was 11-5, but he still played him tough. I mean, trust me, he's going to be okay. But as far as the match with Tommy, I mean, yeah, it's exactly what we figured would happen. It's a very natural thing.
Absolutely, 100%. And he'll learn from it for sure. Let's move on to the semifinal matchup now then. We had BJ Usry versus Renal Bott, and BJ wins 7-4. I mean, I think BJ wanted to win this match probably maybe more than any other match, maybe, because Ronald beat him 2 sets in one of our previous tournaments. So BJ definitely wanted to win this one. Brandon, what's your thoughts on BJ beating Ronald 7-4?
Ronald was lucky to get 4.
Yeah.
I had called 7-2 before the match, and it was actually 6-2, and BJ missed an 8 ball.
Yeah.
I mean, it was an 8 or a 7. It was one or the other. But I mean, BJ was out for blood. BJ, like any good player, and I'm the same exact way. I remember who I lose to because I put a target on you. Next time I see you, it's on. And I knew that if those two matched up, that Ronald was going to have to play out of his mind. And after a loss that he took to Kennedy, it was pretty much written how it happened.
Yeah, I would have, if I was a betting guy, I would have bet everything I had on BJ to win that match.
Oh, sure.
I think Ronald's only chance to beat BJ in this tournament was to play him in the finals. I think playing him in the semifinals was all BJ at that point. If Ronald beat Tommy, maybe Ronald could beat BJ in the finals, maybe, but there was zero chance Ronald was winning this match in the semifinals. Pat, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree with everything except for I don't think there's a match where Ronald beats BJ that day. Whether it be the semifinals or if he met him up in the finals, I think if they would have met in the finals, it would have been even worse. I think then you would have seen maybe a 7-2, 7-1 towards BJ's way. At that point, just a more seasoned veteran player coming in doing his job, right? At that point, closing out the tournament, finishing extremely strong. And then, just like we've been saying, Ronald at that point mentally gassed, checked out more than anything, trying to recover, can't really get back into the picture, just kind of ready to let me go ahead and take this third place money and be done with this and just watch the finals. But hats off to him, man. Phenomenal day. Phenomenal day that he had.
Absolutely. Definitely big applause to Ronald. I've been there before where I've made it all the way to the finals and lost the hot seat match and kind of had no interest in the next match. It was like, just give me third place and get me out of here. It's happened before, it's happened to all of us. And I think that's a learning curve that you take. And hopefully he learned from it. And now that leads us to our finals, which is just one race to 9, no double dipping, just one longer race to 9. And of course it goes hill because A, the pool series always goes hill, and B, the 30th anniversary deserved a hill. They deserve to have their money's worth. And BJ Ussery pulls out the victory 9-8. We'll start off with Pat. Pat, give us your thoughts on the finals. You were there front and center. We also had a little interview afterwards, not with the winner. He was too busy celebrating, but he did have a little interview afterwards with the owner, Matt Riggs. So maybe you can even mention that really quick as well. But yeah, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, shout out to Matt Riggs for the interview, man. Congratulations on 30 years. Wishing you a happy or successful 30 more years down there at the Q.
Please.
Really great event. As far as the match goes, you could argue that this was the match. You could argue that every match is the match of the tournament, but especially this one. To your point, the pool series events, the finals has to go to the hill. BJ definitely let off the gas like the last 3 or 4 racks to let Tommy get back in it. That honestly could have ended 9-4, 9-5 BJ's way. He missed a lot of crucial balls, and Tommy, still being himself, stayed in this game. I feel like he actually kind of clicked into another gear mentally himself. He wasn't so jovial at a certain point. Like when he was coming through that comeback, he wasn't as bubbly. Exactly. Yeah, he was definitely a whole lot more serious when he's trying to come back and take it when he got up there to the hill. We still had about 20 or 30 people in the building, as well as hitting triple digits on the viewership. I think we peaked at like 110, something like that. I took a screenshot of 100. I still have it saved somewhere on my hard drive. Nice. So coming to a real near you. But that's the way that the Smokin Q 30th anniversary is supposed to end. Hill, BJ Ussery versus Tommy Kennedy. Who wants it? And 100. The better player won.
Absolutely. Brandon, what's your thoughts on that final matchup, man?
We can't have a logical final without Hill. It just doesn't work that way. It's kind of like these podcasts. It's always raining when I come over.
Yeah, always,
every time. Just like we will always have Hill. In our tournament that's coming up Saturday, I can pretty much guarantee a Hill final. No, I think it was a great match. I mean, I think BJ really started to autopilot some at the end and give Tommy racks he shouldn't have. But I mean, because I mean, he had numerous chances to finish that, but kept letting him back in. I guess everybody wanted the Hill match. We knew it had to happen.
100%.
It had to happen.
100%.
But shout out to a great tourney. And Matt Riggs has been your customer for many, many years. Thank you for all you've done for the pool player in general. You have the best pool room in Charlotte for the pool player, and we love you for that. So,
Yes.
to many more years, maybe not 30, because I'm
No,
sure
30,
retirement
50,
might be
70.
nice. But in the family forever. How about that?
Yes, 100%. I think it was a fantastic tournament, the 30th anniversary. We've been building up for this all year. It's been a lot of fun. We'll have a few more tournaments at Smokin' Q the rest of the year, including one August 3rd, which will be a one pocket event. We'll also have our tour championship there in December, a couple others in between. And the next event that the pool series has, though, is points event number 5. We're back to the points events. We took a break for this one. We're back. There'll be an 8-ball event at Irish Q. It's going to be a lot of fun. Pat, do you got anything else to add before we sign off?
Can't wait.
Can't wait.
Can't wait. Irish Q. Can't wait.
Agreed. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Brandon, anything to add before we close out?
My turn.
All right. So, guys, it's been a lot of fun. Really appreciate you. Pat Dixon, Brandon Mullis, Justin Clark. We really appreciate y'all paying attention to the pool series. We appreciate y'all paying attention to the Smokin' Q 30th anniversary tournament. Check YouTube for some videos. Check Facebook for some stuff going on, news and notes. Check it all. Check Spotify for the TPS reports. And we'll check you later.